Ladies and gentlemen, it is a Wednesday, and as I mentioned, this is episode 2 of my continuing Life and Death series. Now, remember, life and death, if you can believe it, is quite important in your games, an area that I have neglected for far too long, in fact, and it shows in my normal games. But that is okay, because I'm going to work on making sure your life and death doesn't get as terrible as mine. And so I'm going to showcase a bunch of life and death problems that occurred not just in some random textbook, but in actual games that I watched throughout the weeks. However, where's the fun in going immediately just right to the life and death problem? Every game tells a story, so let's see how this one turned out. This game, played again by professionals, is starting out as most do with double 4-4 points. We see it a lot nowadays. It's just something that happens. Into 3-3 variations, which we have to learn to expect nowadays. Jumps here, trying to invite his opponent to go after the corner again and give him the outside capture. White calls no joy, black fixes, and we see some more 3-3 variations, trying to attack the wall that was not defended or expanded upon or anything like that. Interesting. But as you can see, the game will go on. Where does it go on to, you might ask? Well, yet another 3-3 variation. They are getting around nowadays, aren't they? Black this time takes a wall facing stones he already has for some nice direction to play. They get into a little bit of a fight on the upper right-hand side of the board, each kind of struggling to get something done here. Cuts aren't really very useful. We're just kind of isolating things. From here, you can see White managed to dodge the attack by killing the stones that were trying to attack him. Quite a fair thing, considering this wall did look mighty uncertain once Black launched his counterattack. But alright, managed to settle it off, so good on him. Now, for those of you who are most aware of how this game is going to progress, you've already seen the hints of it, don't you? You can see that Black is slowly developing the middle. More on this later. With a sacrifice of the 3 stones, Black develops the middle of the board, and thus we arrive at the first position of 2 in this game that I wanted to go over. And that is the bottom left-hand corner. Many of you have been in situations like this. Everything looks like it's going pretty well, and then suddenly, your opponent suddenly severely attacks one of your corners, so what are you gonna do about it? Well, option number 1 is to play here. Back off, play the old Jiseki, and make this area stronger for Black, and give up Sente. Boo freaking hiss, right? Who wants to play something that passive? Not you, and certainly not me, and certainly not White this game. Instead, White drops down. I gave you the free move here. White drops down. What do you think is going to happen here? It's a tricky variation. It is an enormously tricky variation. Do you expect to live back here as Black? Do you expect to be able to kill this as White? This is a bit of a tricky variation, which is why I wanted to include it. It's an interesting spot on the board. Black looks like he's trying to live. But then he cuts, rather than tries to go back here and do something, or rather than going here, let's say, and just trying to live that way. The reason there is if you do something like that, the amount of influence here can start poking this area, the amount of influence here can start poking in this area, and then all of these moves that we're trying to develop, they don't look like they're really doing anything. So Black isn't actually trying to live here, and that's why this is kind of like a tricky thing, and why I kind of wanted to highlight it. Because it's all about that cutting point right there. It's all about that cutting point. Because you see, after the cutting point, we maximize liberties, so we can go back and kill the inside, right? Black backs off. Connecting here makes it more troubling to kill, but do you know how to kill it? Do you know how to kill it? Because if black lives in here, game over. That'd be bad. Cutoff group here, cutoff group here. Clearly this is a black has to die scenario. And I figure it's pretty straightforward knowing that, because I did say this is one of 2 variations that I wanted to go over in this game, so you know the game doesn't just immediately end. Therefore, you know this is obviously going to die, right? So we throw in the shape point. Black drops down. Same. Threatening to connect underneath. At this point, come on. Threatening to surround. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see, right? Well, actually, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are, in fact, up 1. We play here. We connect. Make sure that this isn't going to be a thing. Sure, sure, sure. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's 4 to 6, so we can play away. So white comes in. So it's important to be able to kill that to stay in the game. Because after this cutting point here, black wasn't expecting to live. Black was expecting to be able to do this. To surround that corner and build up the middle. It's just this move here was not Sente. Maybe it should have been played out for in the middle, but then you'd lose more here. It's hard to say. It's a very tough judgment call. But this little thing was interesting, and I'm going to include it in the video. The purpose of the video, however, the one that really got my attention, and I wanted to bring it to your attention, is black tries to develop, finds some lovely forcing moves in here, surrounds, and now here's an interesting question. Was this sacrifice so star-spangled awesome that he got so much in the middle that white can't do anything about it? Or is there more? Is there more white can do here? What do you think? Because this variation is for all the marbles. I think I'm going to try to figure out where's the Aji, because there's a lot of confusing Aji. Like, well, I can attach here, but is that really the good first move? I can push up here, but is that really the good first move? I can push through here. Is that the one? I can Hane. Is that the one? Where's a good first move here? As always, feel free to pause the video and give it some thought. So the first move is here. First move here is absolutely lovely because you can see it's doing multiple things. It's threatening to do a loose ladder to killing the 4 stones. Depending on how it responds, like maybe the Atari, it still has Aji for sacrifice purposes. It's threatening to come through. It's threatening to poke in. So this one's a good first one. If we played here, for example, possible none of that happens. If we strengthen this area, we might actually not be able to do anything anymore because we're strengthening our opponent. If we, all the other options, this one you could arguably play. You could arguably play this one, but there's no reason to play it right now because it doesn't make you live just yet. And then, what else did I say? Oh yeah, this one. This one's tough because that gets perfect shape, and then not sure if that was really successful, right? So first move here, ooh, so good for trying to live, but is it good enough? Black responds by not trying to lose the 4 stones, makes sense. And then the cut. Oh my god, the cut. How do you handle the cross cut? How do you handle the cross cut? Watch this. Watch this. Black plays the Atari. White counter Atari. Black connects. Now we're having a problem here. Now we're having a problem here. Look what's getting cut off. In the space of a couple of moves, this entire bloody board just changed because white identified. This is a small knight. This is a small knight. These stones aren't quite dead yet. This is a large knight. This is a 1 point. There's a lot of Aji in here. There's tons of it. So he plays this attachment. He knows white or the black is going to fix. There's only a few ways that black can fix legitimately. This is not one of them. This one doesn't make any sense because this is, I mean, it just doesn't. Right? That's not going well. I don't know how else to say that. We can play here. We can do the cut still. There's a lot of things we can do. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Same thing with things like this. It's pretty weak. It's pretty weak. Think you'll agree. Think you'll agree. It's not really going well. We can make maybe like a cut here now, but now what? This is connected. There's nothing we can do. It's connected. So he plays here, cross cuts, takes out the threat. The threat from behind shows up. But you might be thinking it's fine. We can double Atari. He's such an idiot. He just needs to double Atari now. Is that really going to work? The Atari here probably gets what? Cut there? Now what? Now what? Everything for Ko? Ko for the entire right-hand side. Where did that even come from? It's fine. You have a threat, you might say. So does white. It's tough. You might say it's fine. We can keep fighting this. So can white. Because we didn't play that Hane. Remember how I specifically mentioned that Hane? Remember how I specifically mentioned that Hane? It didn't do anything then, but now it does. That's a break into this entire area. Look how tough that is. So bad. So bad. Very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. So plays here. Defends. Comes through. Defends. Tries to live. But unfortunately for black, there's no way to live in here. Not without giving something up. Like maybe here or something? But yeah. Protects the cutting point, 'cause that's where all the Aji is. Pokes that out. Black's all dead. Alright, here we go. Game number 2. Once again, done by professionals. It's where I always grab these games for. Starts off, unlike the previous one, where we're all taking the 4 points. But the life and death interesting move also occurs much, much earlier. The back off here is very AI inspired. We're seeing it a lot later. A lot nowadays, rather. So it's cool. It's cool. 3-3 invasion. There's 4 points. You're playing 4-4. You're going to get invaded. That's all there is to it. Blocks this way because the small knight wants to expand. And takes that away. So he's very up on his direction of play and what his opponent wants to do. And trying to block the things that his opponent wants to do. Game progresses. Black does a light threat on the 3 stones. Has to defend himself. Gets to expand. White counterattacks by trying to get more out of the right. Interesting. White plays capping move on black's potential. Not an invasion, but a capping move. Threatening to build up the right-hand side. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Happy with his development. White starts sealing areas off with nice strong iron pillars, removing so much Aji back in there. Okay. Black manages a reduction, severe reduction on the right-hand side. But white says that is okay. I can start building up off of the middle, or up off of the top now. And white is going to find that black is not going to allow that to happen. No, 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 no. That is not going to be allowed to happen at all. So we have a very basic reduction of the shoulder hit, and where our life and death problem begins. Because we're making some shape here, playing lightly. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. White tries to counterattack because he's pro. Not taking reduction lying down. Starting to surround the top. White fights back against that surround, where I would just be like, dude, I need to like not be dead right now. I'd be jumping out, connecting up. But he's not. He's trying to counterattack. And now as he tries to save everything, suddenly we have a clear life and death problem. What the crap do we do against that? What do we do against this? Those of you who like trickier life and death problems, you can pause here and contemplate what white can possibly do and how. It is a very long sequence though, FYI. If you found a simple variation, I would be a little bit concerned that maybe you didn't quite get it correct. Those of you who want it a little bit easier, I'm going to show the next two moves. So last warning, I'm going to show the next two moves. Hane into a cut shows the exact sequence. Because you can see we have a choice to make. We can Atari here. Then we give up that corner. Ooh, that's huge. That's a huge corner. That's a huge amount of territory. That'd be an enormous corner. This is just fourth line territory. Black seems like he's coming on in already. He can expand. Ooh, I don't know if we could possibly fight that. I don't know if we could fight that. So here, let's say we have a position where we very much need to live with all of it. But if we just pull back, that's a ladder. Those stones die. If we Atari, black can connect, and then if you Atari, and then connect back. It seems like we're losing half of it no matter what. It seems that way. It seems that way. So here's white to play to not lose half of it. What do you think? Can you see how it can be done? Ooh, it's tricky. Ooh, it's so tricky. Not a common problem. Not a simple problem. You have to really be good on your use of Aji. You got to be on point. Last chance to stop and find the solution because I'm moving forward. So we do have the Atari and the Connect. That sets up the problem because we can't give up half of it. But we can't respond to anything locally here, which means we need to find a way to get this move or this and this move to ensure the countercut can't actually live, right? So we go fishing for Aji. This is a small knight. These have 3 liberties. So what's happening here? Defend. This way would immediately fail, right? Because when you Atari'd, you'd counter Atari. And then you got it. You got it. Just like that. You'd have it. Good job. So can't play that way. So we played... Whoa, not that way. Hello. So we play this way. Right. Comes back. Threatening to capture. Forced into a bamboo to save. And then jumps on in. Now we are so close to the solution. If we play here, that threatens to kill the whole thing. That is threatening to kill the whole bloody thing. Right now we could do this one. We have enough liberties. right? 1, 2, 3, so we're good. But aside from that, you also have, whoa, hello. Aside from that, you also have, can't do that one though, can you? Do that one then descend. We can't do that. Well, that's fine. Even though we can't kill the whole thing, we succeeded in getting life here. And that's good. That's good. We solved the problem that way. So, Black, who does not want to allow such things to happen, play here, because he's rereading this, right? Again, threat. This has to be killed now. So we Atari first. Okay. He's making a trade. Still not giving anything up. So he goes to Ko. Essentially, if we play... so, goes to Ko. Takes. Because this is huge. Right. He's not accepting just life. Even at the outside damage, we're not going for just life. Has to connect. Retake the Ko. And escalates. Because he had to save the group, right? Otherwise, the whole thing's being surrounded. So had to come out. Which means we're escalating for the whole bloody corner. Can you imagine that this life and death problem was so complicated? Again, threatening. Saving the stones. Threatening to kill. Same thing here. Got saved. Took. But it's fine. This isn't dead because this can't be connected because it's 3 to 3. So that has captured. Now, the problem with this, as you can imagine, as you might very well be able to imagine, is this whole group needs to live. It's completely surrounded. How does this live? If you want to know the answer to that, I should have the link to these games down below. For now, I want to keep this video kind of shorter than my usual ones. So let's go and look at the next one. All right, so this next one is just a bonus. I saw a sweet Tsuji played this week, and I wanted to bring it to your attention in the video because I think you will appreciate it too. So, in this particular game, once again versus pros, we had a fairly straightforward thing occur. 3/3 invasion, blocking for the way we expect nowadays. If he wants to block this way in the more complicated fashion, then can do so, no problems. This variation has been making the rounds a lot lately. We've been seeing cuts and then just like drop downs and takes and things like that, and sacrifices and whatnot. Not seeing it here. We're seeing a development here, which is quite fascinating. Quite fascinating indeed. Black is just interested in developing this. Who cares about the rest? Still trying to sacrifice, only on a larger scale. So clearly Black has had some ideas on how this variation could be expanded upon. Good for him. And here's where we start getting really complicated. Simplifying matters here, for example, we have this seemingly given up for the outside. And in fact, for the outside influence, we have this taken, which Black is trying to keep a lid on, because an enclosure, a wall spanning over half the board, is probably going to be worth more than just the corner. But here is where the wonderful Tsuji comes. And you guys are just going to fall in love with it the minute you see it. Like right now, maybe some of you are not comfortable giving up the corner for the outside influence, especially in today's market? In today's meta, where it's all about them territory, all about them points. Nice, solid, influence is meaningless. Who cares? Right? So Black is trying to reduce. White decides to try to expand and surround that corner. Black says, screw you. But why is that a mistake? Oh, the Tsuji here you will fall in love with. You'll fall in love with. You'll be like, oh my god, White is a god. That's all there is to it. White is a god. It can't be denied. He's a god. Simple. Simple as that. Instead of just going, yeah, okay, you're right. You're right. I'm gonna back off. You get those lines of territory. What else could he do? Well, he can play the Hane. Black's not gonna let that happen, so he cuts. Threatening a ko. White says, do you really want a ko here? Black says, yes, I do. It's like, well, then can I have my stones back in the corner? Black says, no, you can't. White says, then what are you going to do about that throw-in? He called his bluff. Oh my god, completely called his bluff. This counter here, complete bluff. Utter and complete bluff. He couldn't fight this ko. It's too big. It's too big. It's a bluff. A complete bluff. Professionals bluffing each other in an online game. Amazing. Has to connect. So White does too. Which means these stones are now are in danger to be killed. So he has to get out of there. Which means he has a forcing move to extend. And finally, capture the cutting stones. Oh, that just got out of control. That right there is super amazing. Now, the wall spans even larger. The influence is radiating its strength all over the place. This corner is looking silly because he tried to overstep, and White was just like, I ain't having that. Not gonna let it happen. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video today. Remember, life and death is very, very important. I'm planning to bring you more of these amazing Tsuchis and games, life and death problems, both to live and to die, every other week, here on Wednesdays. So until next time, hope you're enjoying the series, and as always, and take care everyone.